One day, after conquering the city of Samarkand, the Khan entered a mosque and saw people praying inside. When he asked them what they were doing, he was told that, "We are praying to be protected from your cruelty." To which the Khan replied, "If you had fought against me like men, you would not have to pray like women now." From present-day Hungary to Japan, he once ruled over one of the most astonishing empires in world history. His cruelty was so well known that many cities surrendered without fighting. Genghis Khan was born around 1160 as the eldest son of a chieftain from the Borjigan clan and was given the name Temujin. After the steppe, peoples had been fighting each other for decades. Genghis Khan emerged and united all Mongolian tribes into one empire in 1190. He promised all those who joined him rich spoils, and all those who did not side with him were eliminated. To this day, Genghis Khan is considered the greatest mass murderer in human history. Around 40 million people lost their lives in his battles and expeditions. When he besieged a city and it did not surrender, the Khan liked to organize a massacre. He was also known for documenting his victories with a pyramid of skulls after a genocide. The foundation of his army was based on discipline, but also fear and horror. Anyone who resisted was mercilessly annihilated. Being buried alive, becoming his mistress as a woman, or being burned alive were just some of the atrocities suffered by the prisoners. Genghis Khan also had a special approach to the selection of his commanders. Genghis Khan structured a strict military aristocracy in which anyone, even a peasant's son, could rise through the ranks through his deeds. As a result, there were many talented generals who had been ordinary citizens in their earlier lives, but who became conquerors of important territories under Genghis Khan. In the beginning, his army consisted only of horsemen, as the Mongols learned to use horses and bows and arrows from an early age. They were trained to become very talented warriors, and the riders usually had several horses at their disposal. If one of the horses became too exhausted or slow, its rider would mount his other horse, allowing Genghis Khan's army to cover very long distances in one go. Although the Khan's army consisted mostly of horsemen, they were still able to quickly reorganize his way of warfare. When they encountered a walled city, they built catapults to match, and were also able to form extremely capable ground forces. Sometimes even people who had died from a virus were catapulted into enemy cities to start an epidemic. According to one study, however, all these killings also had a huge impact on the climate of the time, because after the death of millions of people, no more work was done on the land, and so the vegetation grew rapidly. As a result, global warming stopped and the earth cooled down. The Khan also set up a very sophisticated messaging and courier service in his gigantic empire. There were post stations everywhere, and the couriers were given a specially made seal, the so-called paisa, with which they were allowed to travel anywhere in the empire as the Khan's official commander. No matter where they arrived, they were given free accommodation, food, or even a horse, enabling them to deliver messages to the furthest corners of the empire within a few days. Imagine that no one in the world could defeat them, and that they possessed almost everything there was to possess. It was precisely in such a state that Genghis Khan began to yearn for immortality. His shamans were always close companions of the Khan, and he placed great value on their prophecies. As a result, the Khan and his sons and grandsons began to father children with countless women, and thousands of descendants of the Khan are still alive today. Although the Khan is known as the cruelest ruler of all time, few people know that relatively stable social, cultural, and economic conditions existed in his empire. In history, this economic prosperity is also known as Pax Mongolica, or the Mongolian peace. The cruelty and harshness of his army stood in contrast to the security that prevailed within the Mongol Empire. This is confirmed above all by famous adventurers such as Marco Polo and William of Rubruck. Their travel reports show that they were able to cover enormous distances in Genghis Khan's empire safely and without danger. When Genghis Khan died in 1227, he left behind an empire twice the size of today's China. It was only under his successor, his son Ögedei, that the empire reached its final extent. They conquered Russian territories and also fought battles against German, Polish, and Hungarian armies. However, Ögedei's death in 1241 led to the end of the conquests in Europe. Leaving aside the murders, we are nevertheless left with a man whose courage, wisdom, and charisma transformed him from a nomadic warrior into a statesman who brought Europe and Asia together for the first and only time. As a result, long-distance trade flourished for almost 2 centuries. After more than 200 years, the Genghis Khan Empire, which was larger than any state before or since, came to an end. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.